Here. Do you see the color?
Miss Savern, you have 30 minutes to identify all 6 wines correctly. Starting now.
The movie opens with a dream of a memory from her childhood, of her grandmother teaching her to taste wine. She is busy pacing around the room and recalling last-minute details before her exam, when her best friend from home calls her to wish her luck. Her best friend knows how important today is for her and does not want to miss out on wishing her. She urges Jenna to visit home after the exam. Jenna promises to try. She also is excited that her idol in the world of sommeliers is going to be presenting the badges this year. She arrives at the examination, where she is the only woman in a long line of men. She manages to breeze through the theory, and at the practical exam, she confuses one wine for another, failing the exam. Later that evening, she is in her boyfriend's restaurant, telling him about her failure to recognize a wine. He consoles her that the exam is the most difficult in the world and that not everyone passes it in the first go. She points out that he did pass the exam on the first go, almost putting him on a pedestal. She now has to wait until next year to take the exam again. He tells her that she does not have to pass the exam to be successful, but passing the exam is the only way she will get to achieve her dreams of working in a high-end restaurant. He does not seem to get how devastated she is about her failure. The head sommelier of the restaurant, Edwin, comes towards them, showcasing a new wine he had just sold 12 bottles of. Aiden and Edwin love the wine, but Jenna feels the wine is a bit sour and does not like it. Belittling herself, she thinks she must be wrong. She leaves the two of them at the restaurant and heads home for some relaxation. Almost a year later, she is working in a wine shop when her dad calls her, asking her to come home for a surprise 40th anniversary party he was organizing for her mother. Initially, she is hesitant because the exam is only a few weeks away. He then tells her that the annual wine competition is being judged by none other than her idol Jennifer Huther. Excited, Jenna agrees to come, books in tow. Her boyfriend comes to meet her at her shop, and she wants him to join her for a few weeks, but he cannot come because of the restaurant. But he promises to be there for the party. She gets home to a lush green vineyard and a massive house. Her parents are excited that she has come home and has complete faith in her that she will pass the exam this time. Her mother mentions her best friend, Allison, who she ran into at the post office. Her father and her go for a walk along the vineyard, showing her a new section of the land where he started growing. The new sommelier is doing things a bit differently, choosing to go all natural. She thinks that organic vines are just not as good as the traditionally grown vine and is slightly concerned about the future of the vineyard. Her father assures her that Marcelo has experience all over the world and is able to turn vineyards around by incorporating the techniques he learns. Jenna feels a hint of jealousy, as well as insecurity about her family's vineyard going through so many changes. The next morning, her dad needs to run to town to talk to the caterer about the party, so he asks her to cover for him by taking over the tasting room for today. She is happy to help. She enters the tasting room and is reminded of her childhood and her grandmother teaching her about wine. Lost in her thoughts, she clears her head when a customer walks in and immediately begins her spiel on the wine they were showcasing that year. She goes on to talk about the wine's color, as well as its taste, so passionately that he does not want to stop her. He tells her that the wine looks like a flower that is native to Argentina, where he is from. When she asks him if he is interested in the wine, he tells her that he is Marcelo, and she feels like an idiot. She definitely does not like him now. At the family dinner, she finds out that Marcelo is not taking part in the Carrington wine competition. That evening, she is sitting in the courtyard and reading a book when he approaches her to apologize. Marcelo comes across as a nice guy, who apologizes for not telling her who he was, and he also tells her that her father told him about her reservations about going organic. The problems they could have are unfixable, but he considers this a challenge. He asks her what she would do after passing the exam. She tells him about her career aspirations. He is disappointed that she only wants to pass the exam so that it will give her a pay raise. She also tells him that her grandmother always wanted to be one, and she is trying to fulfill the dream. He wishes her all the best, having complete faith in her, and bids her good night. She begins to rethink her assessment of him. She goes to meet her friend the next day, who runs a bakery in town. She tells her friend about the incident with Marcelo, and her friend brushes her off by saying that he probably did not want to disturb her in her element. She asks about her boyfriend, and she tells her that he will be there at the party. Allison can't wait for Jenna to meet her boyfriend. The next day we see Jenna studying using flashcards. Her father asks her to team up with Marcelo to come up with the wine pairings for the anniversary party. She feels like she can do it on her own and doesn't need anyone to help. Marcelo tells her it would be more fun to do it together and offers to do it with her if she does not bring her flashcards. He has a good sense of humor without punching down at her. He tells her that learning about wine must come from the land and not flashcards. He offers her his afternoon if she wants to do it together. She reluctantly agrees. Her dad teases her about the possibility of them together, and she shoos him away. That afternoon he sets up a wine tasting outside, and they begin to discuss wines and their pairings. She tastes the first wine and is able to guess the wine correctly, as well as pair it with the entree. She asks him questions about himself. He He tells her that he is from a small town named Olivia, and she exclaims that her grandmother's name also used to be Olivia. He continues to tell her about the vineyard he grew up on and how she is lucky to still have her home because that cannot be replaced. She guesses the second wine correctly as well, pairing it with the main course. She asks him why he moves around so much, and he tells her that he loves traveling and that it is the best way to learn about the country's history as well as perfect his craft. She calls him out on giving a very generic response. He gets thinking about it and realizes that she may be right. He tells her he hasn't found a place he wants to settle down yet. He gives her a taste of the last one, and she cannot identify it. She claims the wine is excellent and would be too expensive to serve at the party. He begins to laugh, and she cannot understand why he's laughing. She thinks she has messed up the tasting, and he asks her to relax, to smell the bouquet again and to think of how her grandmother taught her to taste. She is taken back to the memory of her grandmother. She smells the bouquet again, and she realizes that this is their vine. He tells her it is a special reserve, all organic vine. Excited, she calls her boyfriend to tell him about the vine she tasted and urges him to order it because it would go so well in his restaurant. He thinks she is biased because it is her grandmother's vineyard. He also tells her that he does not put anything on the menu unless it has won an award. Jenna is busy studying when her best friend calls her and asks her to meet at the town fair in 20 minutes. At first, she declines, but her friend reminds her that she has not gotten her parents anything for their anniversary. She agrees and meets her friend. At the town fair, Jenna sees a poster of the Carrington wine competition, which contains a picture of her idol. She wishes that her family's wine would be taking part this year so she can meet Jennifer, and also show the world what her family's wine is made up of. She runs into Marcelo at the town fair, along with an old family friend, Peggy, who has known Jenna since she was a child. Peggy comes over, asking her about her boyfriend and her life. Peggy meets Marcelo, and they know each other. Marcelo takes her horses out once in a while to ride. Jenna is agitated during the talk of horses because she had an accident as a kid and has not gotten over that trauma. She then tells Jenna that she is trying to convince Marcelo to join the competition, but he refuses. She also is the organizer of the town events and asks for help in picking apples for the apple bobbing competition. They head to an apple orchard and begin plucking apples. They talk about his home country. She asks him what happened to his vineyard, and he opens up to her, telling her how his father built the vineyard from the ground up, which caught the eye of a big distributor and was forced to sell the vineyard. Shortly after this, his father passed away. They pick 2 baskets of apples and head back to the fair. Peggy informs them that at the last minute, a contestant has backed out and asks Jenna if she would take that spot. Jenna refuses, but Marcelo is game. He wins second place and is awarded a ribbon, which he proudly gives to Jenna. Jenna is still upset that Marcelo does not want to enter the contest while she wants to enter their special reserve vine. She asks Peggy for the last date to enter the competition. When she gets home, she finds him baking an apple pie from the leftover apples. She takes a bite of it and loves the taste, suggesting vanilla ice cream with sherry to go with it. She thanks him, and he tells her that for him, wine is all about the experience and not about the study. She tells him about wanting to work with Aiden at his restaurant, but she feels inadequate. He reassures her that she is extremely talented and needs to trust her instinct. The next day, she is on the phone with her boyfriend, telling him about the wine again. She is trying to convince him, but he says neither the wine nor her have enough credentials to carry the vine. He tells her that he misses her and that things have been difficult lately because she has been studying, effectively putting all the blame on her. Red flag number 2. He says that he can't wait for it to be over so that things can go back to normal, as if her wanting to be a sommelier does not matter at all. She feels very strongly about entering the contest, and she wants to talk to Marcelo about it. Marcelo is busy introducing ladybugs to his vineyard to battle the pests organically. He thinks it's too late, but she confesses that she entered them into the contest. He is not too happy with that. She asks him if he is afraid of the contest. He believes that once they enter a competition, people only care about pleasing the critics and lose the taste of the wine completely. She says that she believes in him and begs him to take part. She tells him that he has a gift and it would be a great disservice to not use it. At the cellar, Marcelo is moving some barrels, and Jenna apologizes. She asks him how she can make it up to him, and he asks her to meet him outside in an hour, wearing boots. He takes her horse riding, the one thing she is terrified of. He pushes her to get past her trauma by introducing her to the horse. She ends up having a great time with the horses. She is impressed with his riding skills and asks him where he learned to ride like that. He tells her that in his hometown, they used to round up wild horses and tame them. He really loves wines and wishes to open his own vineyard someday. They make plans to meet the next day, and she begins to like spending time with him. Meanwhile, Edwin tells Aiden that he is leaving and recommends Jenna as his replacement. He tells him not to ignore a talent like hers, and he says he is willing to consider it. Red flag number 3 needs someone else to tell him how talented his girlfriend is. He calls her and tells her about Edwin quitting and is not sure he can take time off to come to the party. Jenna tells Marcelo about this interaction, and he astutely guesses that it is the job she wants. He asks her how long she's been with her boyfriend, and she tells him that they've been together for 3 years and that he is everything she ever wanted in a man. She asks him if there is a special woman in his life. He tells her about a woman in Germany that he was very fond of. He sometimes wonders if he made the right decision by not staying or if he made a big mistake. It is the day of the fair, and Marcelo and Jenna enter Ashley's shop to find her in a state of disarray and falling behind. They offer to set up her table at the fair so that she can continue baking. At the fair, she is promoting the wine, bragging about it being natural and organic while he watches on in amazement at her passion. Later on, we see Marcelo playing with the children and having a good time. They go on a carriage ride together, and he tells her that he sees the passion she has for wine. He finds out that the land they saw on their horse ride together is for sale, and he is contemplating putting down roots. He doesn't think he can afford it yet. She suggests taking on investors or a partner. She pushes him to go for it if it is his dream. She gets cold and, being the gentleman that he is, removes his coat and drapes it over her in a sweet moment. She is on a call with her boyfriend, asking him to test her. He is busy and wants to do it later. She asks about the open position, and he tells her about all the candidates he is interviewing. He still does not have faith that Jenna could do the job much better than anyone else. She is about to ask him if she could take on the role but is interrupted by her dad, and they hang up. Her dad needs her help with something. He wants Jenna to get her mom outside the house so that he can arrange some tables and chairs for the event. He suggests a candle-making workshop at the fair, and she agrees. At the workshop, Jenna's candle-making skills are pathetic, and she decides to stick to winemaking. Her mother is proud of her and calls her a master sommelier. She is anxious about the exam and about her boyfriend not considering her for the role, all of which builds up to an outburst at her mother, even though her mother has been nothing but supportive. She also begins to feel the stress of having to take the exam a third time and worries she will fail, letting her parents down. She explains this to her mother, who tells her that she can never let her down. Her mother fears that her father has forgotten all about the anniversary and feels a little upset at the thought. Jenna tells her dad to take her mother to an overnight stay, so she has no idea about the party while she offers to do the setup with Marcello's help. Thinking about Marcello, she asks her dad about the next-door vineyard that is for sale. Her dad tells her he knows the owners and wants to know why. Before she can explain, Marcello calls her name from outside. She goes outside, and he tells her he has a surprise for her. He takes her to his house, which used to be the winemaker's cabin. She laments about how the last time she came in here was when her grandmother was alive. She appreciates that he kept the old paintings that her grandma adored, surprised to learn that he likes the paintings. He is scurrying around the kitchen, excited to feed her a home-cooked feast from his hometown of Argentina. She is floored and sincerely appreciates it, asking him for the recipes. He pours her a glass of wine that would go perfectly with the meal. She explains the taste, trying to guess the wine. She comes very close but misses out on the year. He tells her that this was a bottle from his father's vineyard and only has a few bottles remaining. It was the best wine they had ever made. She feels special, knowing he opened such a sentimental bottle of wine for her. He tells her that there is no one who can appreciate it more than her and no one he'd rather drink the wine with. He begins to realize that he has feelings for her, and so does she. After the meal, they are out on the patio, and he shows her something he found in the cupboards. He shows her a painting of a little girl and asks if that is her. She tells him it was a painting her grandmother made of her as a little girl. He offers the painting to her as a gift she could give her parents. She is touched by his gesture. The day before the anniversary party, Jenna and Marcello are busy decorating the place, having a light moment when she receives a call from her boyfriend. She asks him when he is getting here, and he apologizes. He tells her he won't be able to come because he hasn't found a replacement yet. Hope flares in her heart. She thinks he will finally realize that she is the perfect person for the job. But instead, he tells her that he is not coming to the party. She accepts his apology and hangs up. Heartbroken, Marcello sees her sadness and offers to listen. She tells him that she is upset not just because her boyfriend is not coming to the party but also because he did not consider, even for a second, that she would be the right fit for the job. Marcello empathizes with her and suggests that maybe she could work in another restaurant. Her feelings of inadequacy intensify, and she feels unworthy. It's the day of the party, and all the guests scramble to hide so that they can surprise her mother. Her mother is ecstatic and has a beautiful celebration together. During the toast, her mother thanked everyone and her daughter. Jenna shows her gratitude towards her parents and thanks them for everything they have done for her. Marcello and Jenna together give them a good signboard to put up at the entrance of the vineyard, as well as the painting. Her parents are touched by their thoughtfulness, and everyone is impressed with the gift. Jenna stares at her parents dancing, wondering when she will ever get to experience that kind of love. She is also sad that she is leaving and going back to her normal life. Allison joins her as she watches her parents and asks her if she is ready to go back. Jenna tells Allison that she would miss the sense of community she got here. Marcello and Ashley's boyfriend joins them, and the two of them go dancing, leaving Marcello and Jenna standing together. He asks her to dance, and they dance for a couple of minutes. She asks him about the competition tomorrow and suggests that the wine be called Heart because he poured his whole heart into it. He repeats it in Argentinian and suggests naming it Master of the Heart to celebrate her as well. She is touched by this and is feeling things she should not be feeling having a boyfriend. The party ends, and she is in the kitchen, cleaning the cups. Her father enters and asks her about Aiden, who did not come. She tells him about Aiden losing his head sommelier and how he did not think about asking her. She is feeling conflicted with her commitment to Aiden, but also her growing affection towards Marcelo. Her father gives her some fatherly advice. He tells her that a relationship is only as good as what you put into it and that dreams must be shared in order for anyone to succeed. She is left trying to take stock of her life. It is the day of the wine competition, and her idol is tasting the wines and rating them. Aiden surprises her by coming to support her. Too little too late if you ask me. Of course, he has to make a jerk move by not appreciating the wine as much as she thought he would. They don't win the competition, and they are upset. Jenna's idol Jennifer walks up to them to tell them that she absolutely loves wine. Even though it did not win, she offers Marcelo a position at her estate in Australia. Jenna is extremely happy for Marcelo, and Marcelo urges her to go talk to her idol. After getting some good advice from Jennifer, Jenna asks Aiden why he came. He tells her that her dad called him and probably gave him a mouthful. Go dad. He apologizes for missing the party. She finally steps up and demands the job with proof that her palate is good. He tells her that he shouldn't have doubted her. That evening at dinner, Aiden is jealous of the attention that Marcelo is receiving from her parents and announces that the open head sommelier position at his restaurant is going to be Jenna. She is very happy, and so is her father. Marcelo excuses himself from the party and leaves them. She goes after him and thanks him. She tells him that she learned a lot from him. She hugs him fiercely, wanting to remember him and telling him she will miss him. 2 weeks later, she is the head sommelier at his restaurant. He stops her after she has served a customer, and he asks her to try and upsell the better wine. She tells him that she loves the wine, but it won't go with their food. She leaves early for the day so she can study for the test that is 2 days away. He asks her if she is coming in tomorrow, and she cannot believe that he asks her to come to work 1 day before the test. She takes it in her stride and agrees to come. She is studying for her test when she sees the second place award that Marcelo won at the fair, reminding her of those times. She calls Allison to see if she has any info on Marcelo. Allison tells her that he is taking the job in Australia and that she should call him herself. The next day, she unpacks the latest wine that she ordered and is super excited. Aiden does not like that she took this decision on her own. She finally calls him out on making her come to work a day before the big exam. He tells her that she would have the job either way, regardless if she passes or fails. He feels that she already has her dream job. She corrects him, telling him that her dream was to be a master sommelier, not to work at his restaurant. He is confused, considering he has the emotional range of a teaspoon. It's not surprising. She tells him that they don't share the same dreams and finally dumps him. Yay. Back at home, Marcelo is busy packing up his stuff and leaves for the airport. At the airport, he gets a text from Allison, telling him that Jenna left her boyfriend and the restaurant. Jenna is back at the exam, and this time she is confident that she can do it. She is able to name all the wines without any hiccups. The last one seems to be a problem for her, and she takes a minute to remember what her grandmother taught her. She takes a deep breath and announces the name of the wine. She passes the exam, and she finally gets what she has been working for all these years. A gold pin by her idol, announcing her to be a master sommelier. After the ceremony, she walks out of the hotel, feeling absolutely elated to see Marcelo waiting for her with flowers. He tells her that he is super proud of her, congratulating her on getting what she deserves. He tells her about his plans to buy the land next door to hers, where he will be the winemaker and she the master sommelier. He offers her a life that she's always wanted. One in which she is treated as an equal, a partner. He asks her to be part of this dream, knowing that she is the only one for him. He tells her that home is not a place but a feeling and that he has found his forever home in her. She cannot believe that what she wanted has come true, and she can't wait to begin her life with him. She says yes, and they profess their love for each other in English and Argentinian. They embrace each other and kiss, knowing that they have found their happily ever after.